Okay, let's see if I can figure this out.
So, so what did you say? You need a sponsor? Okay, go ahead. Listen closely because you know everything.
Usually, you need to find a sponsor because the dog is roughly about $70,000.
Okay.
Because it's a whole 2-year process.
Okay, it's a whole year process. Okay. Canine
it's a 2-year process to train the dog. It's like a 5 to 7 year waiting list.
5 to 7 year waiting list. Okay. And can you do the service training yourself at home and just be like, hey, I'm certified? No. Oh, you can't? You just can't be like, hey, I'm the best because I watch YouTube?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I was making sure of that.
Somebody that is certified.
Right.
A certified trainer needs to train your dog.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're charging somebody $70,000 for training, I mean, you would expect to be someone that's qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's people that are called animal service animals, and just because they make me feel better, it don't work that way. Like, you can't walk in the hospital with an animal.
So is high blood pressure considered a disability that you need a dog?
That would be a doctor's say. That's not for me.
So the dog would lower your blood pressure?
Maybe because the dog can calm you down and lower your blood, but that's not a doctor's season. You know, it's not a place for any of us to say who needs and deserves.
Wait, so no one has the right to tell you who needs and who doesn't need a service dog, right? No one has the right.
Exactly.
Do you hear what you're saying? So you hear that, right? You don't have the right to tell me shit. Okay, I hope we understand that. I hope we're clear about that.
I never
Go ahead. It's against the law. No, you didn't. You made 6 posts about what I'm doing with my dogs. So you can't tell me what to do with my dogs.
I never said.
We just clarified that.
I never said.
Okay. Yes, you did. You made 6 posts about it. You made 6 different posts about this.
I said the dog wasn't properly trained.
Oh, now you're gonna
need it. I said emotion.
So your dog. Okay. Now you heard the truth. Now, how was your dog trained?
Sorry.
How was your dog trained?
Whole process?
No, how was it trained? I mean, how was a professional trained dog? I mean, all your videos show you having her since a puppy, walking around, your son walking around the grocery store, or I'm sorry, rule key. I mean, since a puppy. There's a 5-year process. You heard 5-year waiting list. So what process? No. Listen, no. Don't show me a Google result. Show me your dog's training, because your dog is a service dog, right? A real one.
He's a service dog in training. Right? He's been through a year of training. He has another. So this is my second.
5. Right?
You're breaking out.
You should be on a 5-year waiting list. Why do you have the dog?
Because federal law allows you to owner train. I can show you the law right now. It's on ada.gov.
Federal law allows you to owner train. So what makes you different from me?
The difference is not that you can't train. It's not that you don't need the dog.
I'm faking it. I'm not training my dog properly. I showed you guys a video of me walking in the parking lot where my dog ignored a dog and off the leash, completely ignored that dog, followed my steps. And people were like, oh, he's not by your side. I ran away from the dog. How can he stay by my side running?
Look,
But you want to point out that dog is not properly trained.
I need a chance to talk. We're going to talk. I would appreciate it. Would take it down just a little bit. I have anxiety too. All right. I'm not trying to get worked up. If we're going to talk, let's do it like adults, calmly. I will hear everything you have to say, but I just ask the same respect in return. Okay. Let's hear each other out here. Okay. So in the video, your dog did do great ignoring the other dog. Absolutely. The issue was that the dog wasn't in a heel. It was over here on the other side of the parking lot. With trained service animals, you're not going to see them. I'm sorry, I've got birds. They're going to be loud the whole time. Trained service animals are not going to be over there away from the handler. They're going to be in a heel next to the handler the whole time. They're not going to be, pulling on the leash or, anything. And I know that your dog was off leash, but generally the law does say that you have to follow leash laws. So what saying as a whole, and I can show you right now the laws. It's ada.gov. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 are the laws that regulate people with disabilities and service animals. So if you were to go to the website right here, question 5, does the ADA require animals to be professionally? No. You can train them yourself, and you're not required to use a professional trainer. Now, with that said, the dog still has to meet the same criteria. It still has to go through an evaluation to make sure it has the proper temperament to be a service animal, because you can't have an aggressive dog being a service animal. It has to go through all of its basic obedience so that it can be under control at all times. It has to go through public access training, which is going to be how to behave appropriately in a public setting. Not sniffing food, not pulling around and going up to other people, being able to focus on you, and not have anxiety in a public setting, because you don't want to stress a dog out that hasn't been trained to deal with a high stress environment.
So training a dog to walk on merchandise is not a good thing, right?
Say that again, sorry.
Training a dog to purposely walk on merchandise that you're not planning on purchasing, that's not a good thing, right? You shouldn't train your dog to walk on merch. I'm not saying you did this. I've watched some of your friends that support you do that on their videos. So training your dog to jump on merchandise is not a good thing as a service trainer, right?
What kind of merchandise? Because we go into Home Depot and
merchandise in general. Why should a service dog be on top of merchandise?
What kind of merchandise? I mean, as a whole.
Any merchandise at all. If a dog, are you standing on merchandise? Why is the dog on the merchandise? If your dog is supposed to be if your dog is supposed to be by your side, why are you training your dog to stand on merchandise?
It shouldn't be just standing on merchandise. Now, we do try.
That's a mistake as a trainer to do that, right?
It depends on, now, because that's you're not going to bring your dog in and put it on a pillow inside a store, okay? But
not a pillow, sweetheart. A box.
Say that.
It was a box. It was a box. It was a stack of boxes, and have her jump on the boxes.
Now, that's confidence training, but I think there's a limit. I think doing it in a pet-friendly place is.
You're not defend that no matter what. I get it. Go ahead.
No, I think in a pet-friendly place, things like that are okay because it's pet-friendly. But I think in a service dog-only environment, no, because you're setting an example. But if you were doing it, because like Home Depot, the little like trolleys that you push when you're collecting stuff.
I'm not.
Okay. It builds shakes. Build a more confident dog. But as a whole, I don't think they should be jumping on any kind of merchandise in a store, and they should never be in a group.
That's what some of your friends have been doing, and they call me a fake person, and that their dogs are real trained.
And look,
this is what you
everybody.
Get on a plane.
Can your dogs be on a plane?
I actually recently, I YouTube. I don't TikTok. Okay, TikTok is something new. It's more for fun. I'm a YouTuber. That is where I spread most of my awareness and education. Now, I actually recently did a video going off about the service dog and disability community. It's so toxic. I don't agree with everybody. A lot of people are out here having their dogs off leash because federal law says if your disability requires it and if the dog is trained to perform, they can be off leash if it's a safety hazard. So I think that's issues I literally out. So it would not necessarily be safe for my dog to be on a leash, right? Because I could get tangled up in it if I pass out. But with that said, the dog would have to be properly trained. But there's a lot of people out here in the service dog community that are walking around with dogs off leash for no reason.
You say the dog, it would be bad for you to have your dog on the leash because he could choke you said, or something? What was that?
No, if like a long leash, we use a traffic lead, like a little right. Traffic lead. Yeah, so if we were using a long leash, if I was to faint, I could follow my dog. I could, get tangled up in the leash, my dog trying to get out of it. So there's certain incidents where having the dog off leash is necessary. But recently I went off about it on my YouTube because I see so many people in the service dog community saying, oh, well, I'm training my dog to be off leash. Well, why do you need your dog off leash? If it's now like psychiatric, this was one of the things I was trying to explain to you. Emotional support dogs aren't service dogs because they haven't been task trained. But there are psychiatric service dogs, and they go through the same amount of training as other service dogs, except they are trained to assist you with PTSD and your anxiety. And that was one of the things I was saying to please message me about because I was going to explain that to you. So if you have a psychiatric service dog, ideally you wouldn't need the dog to be off leash, right? Because there's no real danger for you. Now, if your dog, let's say your PTSD affected you when you walked into a building, you needed to know it was safe. So your dog could be trained off leash to step into the building, check, make sure it was safe, and then walk back to you. And it would only be off leash for that task. So that would be a trained task for your dog to come back and say, everything's cool, dude, come on. So I don't agree with everybody in the service dog community. And I am the one person that speaks out against them. I'm the one person that calls people out on all their bullshit. I don't care who you are. If I see it and I know you're not doing it right and you aren't following the law, I'm going to call you out on it because there is a proper way to do it. I think that there are plenty of people in the world that can benefit from service animals, but too many people are going about it the wrong way and not following the law. And that is where I try to step in and say, hey, this is where we're doing it wrong, and this is why, and this is how you should go about it to do it properly.
Okay, I can respect that. I understand where you're coming from with that. But in the same sense, you don't know my situation, you're immediately attacking me.
And maybe I could have come across a little different. I don't remember what my first comment was. I think I said something about, having your dog in the buggy. So immediately, you're never going to see a legitimate service dog in a buggy. Not only that, but it also violates health codes. So if you think about it, for people that have allergies, so fear of allergies or fear of dogs is not a reason to exclude somebody with a service animal. But you still got to try to be respectful of people with allergies. If I go into an establishment, my service dog, and somebody there has an allergy, we are both legally, per ADA law, we have to be accommodated. So
what I've been asked to do, and I'm just going to say this, is something that I've been asked whenever I have gone in certain places. They've said to me, if you could please bring a towel or something and place the dog on the towel, if you're going to have him in the buggy, that would be best. And that's because, and they say, and that's just for us to not worry about other customers complaining about dogs being in buggies. Because I'm sure they've heard complaints. The stores have heard complaints about seeing them and like, hey, I don't appreciate that dog being in that cart. I'm going to use it next time.
Well,
so I have asked, please bring something to kind of guard them from them or keep them on a leash either way. So I'm not saying I never heard it.
Right.
I'm not saying it. But in the same sense, people don't really make it into a bigger deal because, to be honest with you, if you look at the kind of kids that shit their pants on the side of those carts, it's like what my dog does is nothing compared to that. Yeah. Like that bacteria and the stuff that's on those carts, and you want to worry about your food and allergies? I mean, have you seen Walmart videos of people picking their butt and grabbing the carts?
Look,
you're worried about dogs?
I do, and I get it. And, I have kids myself, so believe me, if anybody knows how nasty kids can be when their diapers blow out and shit goes everywhere, I do.
And I'm not saying that you don't take care of it, but there's a lot of people that don't.
Right.
A lot of people that look at, I'm out of here. I'm just not going to deal with this. You know what I'm saying?
With that said, put this in a perspective, because I had somebody tell me their story. So this grandmother, her son, severely allergic to dogs. She went into a store. She put him in the buggy. He ended up having to go to the ER. He had such a bad allergic reaction just from touching the buggy where a dog had been. So now, whenever they go into a store, they have to completely wipe down the buggy. So, aside from, a health code violation, you also have to think about what kids are being sat in that buggy, what people have allergies, even if, they're not in the buggy, that are touching it. And then
that's a fair excuse. That's fair. That makes sense.
Okay, so
kids are susceptible to that. I can see that.
Yeah. So
and they are the ones sitting.
Be either carried in like a sling. If you have a small service dog, sometimes it's easier for them to be closer to your face to smell the chemical change, because how they do medical alerts is through chemical smells and chemical changes. So they're smelling that little small change. And so sometimes with smaller dogs, it's easier for them to be closer to you. Now, with that said, they still need to be properly leash trained. And for the most part, what we say is all four on the floor unless tasking. So unless that dog is performing a task in that moment, all 4 feet should be on the floor and they shouldn't be in the cart.
And they shouldn't be jumping on you.
Unless it's a medical alert. Like, she can jump on me if she's doing an alert to let me know something. She has different things that she does for alerts. So some are nudges, some are paws, and some are jumping. So it's a jumping up to my chest. It's different alerts for different things. So I pass out. My heart rate, I have hit 203 on my heart before. My blood pressure bottoms out. I was pregnant, passing out, and turning blue because my blood pressure was bottoming out so low. And my blood sugar also drops. And so for different tasks, you're going to see different alerts. So some dogs do jump on the handler for an alert, but they shouldn't be jumping on other people.
I agree. I feel you on that. Well, I hope we can get this past this bullshit and just be kind of friends with this situation. I get what you're saying. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do. I'll do my best. I mean, do my best. I am going to keep my dogs out the carts. Today, when I had Cardi B at Walmart with me, she was on the leash and she walked on the floor. She was with me. She was behaving properly. She is show trained. She's not really like service trained, but she is trained to be right by my side as a show dog. So she won't lead off to anybody. She won't ask to talk to anybody because she knows at that moment she kind of thinks she's in a show setting. So she's trained to stay focused forward, not worried about shit, because when you look away, you lose points. You got to stay focused on your handler. You got to stay focused forward. So in a sense, I'm kind of training my dog my show purpose ways, because that's kind of how she has to keep her lead training going. Because if I don't do it, she'll lose it. And if I go to a dog show, she's gonna look like an idiot looking around. That will make me lose points.
I get that.
So I'm not trying to put anybody in danger. I'm not saying I am, but I'm just saying I'm not putting in my cart, and I won't be going into places like that unless it's for service purposes. I mean, if you're saying I can train my dog like you have, then I'll go and do the proper processes, and I'll train her the proper way and have her checked to see if she is obedient trained.
And that is all asked. Like, if people really require it, go for it. Now, like me, I will spout my personal information all over the internet. I've done it for years on my YouTube channel. I'm not scared of it. Like, I'm doing it for education. I'm trying to advocate. I'm trying to make sure that people not only understand my story, but understand how maybe they could benefit from it. If I don't know if you want to keep things personal or not, but me trying to like evaluate here, like, how could I help you help yourself and help train your dog in the appropriate manner? So you said you had PTSD, right? Now, if I ask a question and you don't want to answer, just be like, I just don't feel comfortable, and we'll just stop.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay. So when you have a PTSD episode, what typically happens? Like, for me, I can completely disassociate. I can have debilitating anxiety attacks, hyperventilating, shaking, and just completely lose all sense of the things around me.
Typically, for me, my heart rate is very high, and I start to lose vision because blood rushes to my head.
Okay.
So
do you have any like a tics that you do? So like for me, I scratch, my leg shakes.
No.
Okay. So
I just have a lot of heart racing.
Okay. So what I typically try to explain to people, so when you're doing your service dog training, of course you need to start off with the temperament testing. So your dog can't be aggressive at all. Other animals, other people, okay? So once you've got your evaluation done and you know your dog has the proper temperament, you've also got to look out, does this dog stress easily, or can this dog handle high stress environments? So then we're going to move on to basic obedience training. The basic obedience training, you're going to go through all of it. Properly heeling on a leash, not pulling, your sits, your downs, even training a focus command. That way, if they get distracted, you can say focus, they give you their attention and they're snapped out of that what's over there moment. A leave it command, so that if they get distracted and that focus didn't work and you want them to leave that alone or leave the food on the ground alone, they'll do it. Staying, wait, just going through all of your basic obedience here. So then
it's something I do on a daily basis already. So
right.
Go ahead, keep going.
That's kind of what you were explaining. So then we move on to public access training. So your public access training, again, how to behave in a public setting. We've kind of already been over this, not messing with other stuff and staying focused on you. If, something loud happens, like let's say somebody drops a big box behind you as you're walking. Your dog can startle, that's fine, but the dog has to have a quick recovery. They can't shut down from it. So they can't have a loud noise and they can't be cowering and, terrified. They have to, whoa, okay, cool, I'm good now. Just had to see what that was. That scared me a little bit, and then continue on. So a slight startle and recovery, that's fine as long as they recover. So then task training. What task has your dog been specifically trained to do to mitigate your disability? So for me, we went over these, like the different types of alerts that, I get. And again, this is my second dog. My first, he retired I think it's been about 9 months now, and he worked for years. And so she's still got another year of training before she's fully trained. So Alabama grants service dogs in training public access. So federal law only covers service dogs that are fully trained. So it's up to the state that you live in, and I live in Alabama. It's up to the state that you live in whether or not they grant service dogs in training public access. Some states don't. So I got lucky with where I live here. So she's allowed to go into public with me, even though she's still in training. But the task training, it's going to be, so like you said, PTSD. Now, when I'm having an anxiety attack, like I said, I tend to scratch or I shake. So one of the things that she's trying to do is interrupt these behaviors. So these interruptions, if I'm scratching, expected to. Oh no. What happened? Okay, I don't know if he lost connection or what. Let me see if I can get him back on. Okay, I cannot get him back on. Alright. I'm going to give it a minute and see if he can hop back on. Alright. I guess we're just going to give it a second and I'm going to read y'all's stuff. Alright. I just sent. Okay. Alright.
Yeah, my bad.
Nope, you're fine. So with the task training, like I was saying, my tics, I guess if you want to call them, when I'm having an anxiety attack, I'll start scratching or my leg will start shaking. And so for her anxiety response there, if I'm doing that, so I have a tendency, you can't really see them very well. There's some little scars right here on the top of my arms. They're kind of, let me see if I can get my thumb. Right here above my thumb, there's like some little round scars. So what I tend to do is I scratch in the same spot every time I have an anxiety attack. And I will literally start to rip my skin open a little bit, not meaning to. And so it's actually formed scars on my arms. And so one of her tasks, if I start scratching, she's to paw my hand and nudge my hand over and over and over until I stop, to keep me safe, keep me from hurting myself. And to essentially, it's a response. So it's not an alert because she's not alerting before the anxiety attack. She's responding during the anxiety attack. So she's letting me know, because I don't realize it in the moment. She's letting me know, hey mom, like you're doing this thing, stop doing this thing, and I'm going to keep on until you stop. Same thing with the leg shaking. When I'm shaking my leg, paw it, paw it, paw it. If I'm still not responding, she will put her whole body on my legs and like try to forcefully hold them down, and it'll help snap me out. And it also grounds you. So when you're having an anxiety attack, you know just as well as I do that you tend to kind of lose what's going on around you because you're so caught up in that moment of anxiety. Having the dogs trained to actually do something for us and not just being there for comfort or support, but having them trained to actually do something can help pull us out of that, because it helps ground us. It helps pull us back to reality.
No, here's the thing. See, now, like I try to explain, is different people deal with things differently. So the way you.
Oh, we lost him again. All right, we're gonna give him a second, and then we're gonna let him hop back on. Okay, guys, we're gonna give him a second, and then he keeps losing service.
I was on my Wi-Fi. That was the other way. So no, all I'm saying to you is this though. Like you say, your tics are the way. Those are you explain your tics. And I appreciate you being personal with that. But what I'm saying to you is the way people actually handle their depression, their anxiety, is different. Everyone is different. Like I'm not the same way most people. Even most people tell me that I seem to have kind of like no heart, no soul, because I just don't really feed into things too much. I go through the motions, but I don't feed into it in a sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the way I respond, I try to kind of like take my mind off those things, and the thing I do that is by just having my dog there. Like when I start to get into those little like spells that I'm starting to feel dizzy, because I'm starting to feel really, really raised up. This girl and these dogs, in a second of just me petting them, stops my anger. It stops my feelings. And I mean, I know it's a silly excuse, but
no, it's
it's
valid.
I've been through some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes my girl can tell you, I have a very, very difficult way of expressing my feelings without it being rage.
No, and look, and I get that. I don't know if you broke out again. It's paused on my end. All right. It is an ESA, but he does have PTSD. So, again, what I'm always saying is that just because you have a disability doesn't mean you can just like take your dog and like say it's a service animal. It still has to go through the proper training. And so that's what we're just trying to explain to him here. If his dog can go through all the proper training and be trained to assist him, then cool, let's do it, but let's do it the right way. So we're going to give him a second hop back on. Here we go. He's having issues with his internet. Okay, so I don't know if he's gonna build a hot back on or what. Hey, honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me candy.
You can go get one piece.
Yay.
One piece of candy. Only one.
Okay.
Okay. He's declining it right now. I don't know if he's tried to like fix his internet here or what. So basically, hey guys. So basically, you know, we don't have, there's no certifications for service dogs. This is ADA federal law. There's, you know, certifications most of the time are fake. It's these scam websites that come out and say, you know, if you can you can register your dog here, it's going to make a service animal. That's not how it works. Like, they actually have to go through the training. You have to be disabled. You know, typically you need a note from your doctor saying that this is what you have and, like, you need a service animal. And then, you know, you'll go through the steps of either going through a program or owner training at home. Thanks, guys. So I'm just happy here that, you know, he's at least somewhat open to being properly educated here, and I'm just hoping that if in the future he has any further questions, that he'll be a lot more open. And now with that said, I've seen a lot of people being very, very hostile to him, and I can't say much because I was a little hostile as well, but at the same time, you know, I was like, message me, let me explain this to you, and I was willing to, you know, go that step. And you know, I'm guilty of it, but I'm also going to say this, and I'm going to hear the words that I preach myself, and I'm going to do my best here to practice the words that I'm about to preach, which is, in the service dog community, when we're trying to educate people like this, some people go on like full hostile, like really, really bad, and they continue to be that way. And, you know, just from this experience itself, I feel like we have to do better. And, you know, I'm speaking of myself here as well. You know, we have to do better and make sure that we are leaving that room to educate, because if we're just complete assholes, nobody's gonna want to listen to us. And I've had people telling me this for years, you know, myself, and a lot of times I don't listen to it, and I need to listen to it better. And, you know I'm preaching the words myself right now, but it's definitely true here. And so he's still online. I'm gonna send him another invite. Denied it again. So I don't know what the case is here. I don't know if he's just done. So I'm just going to go ahead and end this. And if he wants to go live again and finish talking, I guess we can. So anyway, bye. How do I end this? I don't even know how to end this. Is there like a... What do I do?